Donald Trump isn't even president yet, and he's already kicking sand in the faces of kids in the sandbox. And we all know why. Because Daddy didn't love him enough. To date, Trump has now threatened Canada, Mexico, Greenland, and now Panama. And the smallest of these countries, Panama, is not putting up with it. I'm going to talk about Trump responding back like your average grade school bully whose parents need to take away his cell phone. But first, some background. Remember this guy, B-list Hollywood actor who played in movies alongside a chimpanzee? He became governor of California with a tried and true Republican formula: turn working class voters and farmers against poor people on Medicaid, telling both that they are getting more than you. When it came time to run for the presidency against a sitting president, Reagan had another soundbite: don't give up the Panama Canal. And low IQ conservative voters flocked to Reagan. It made Gerald Ford look weak rather than smart, because Ford knew that the issue of the Panama Canal was no longer about national security and the military, since most U.S. warships can't fit through the canal anymore. The only issue with the canal was economic, and it was the height of U.S. economic imperialism to keep possession of a canal in someone else's country. It's important to note that Reagan did lose to Ford, and once he did, the issue of the Panama Canal disappeared. It died with Reagan's failed campaign. He didn't even use it in the next time around. Nobody has thought twice about the Panama Canal since then, and that's the point. Trump doesn't think. He's a petulant child, the ultimate spoiled little rich 2-year-old who runs around saying everything is mine. Trump wants to take back the Panama Canal because he cannot stand the fact that, wait for it, ships have to pay a fee to use it. Trump honestly thinks that because the U.S. made the canal, we shouldn't have to pay for it. See? You can just hear the selfish little brat saying, it's mine. But don't take my word for it. Listen to President Poopy Pants explain it to all the kiddies on the playground.
The Panama Canal. Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal? Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else.
We're getting ripped off? Panama is charging fees, and Trump is using that as an excuse. So here he is, all chippy about the canal, the ghost of Reagan lingering in the background, trying to roust our spirit of conquest. The problem is, the president of Panama isn't putting up with a 2-year-old waving his father's ceremonial sword. He fired back with this.
El cuadrado del Canal de Panamá y su zona adyacente es de Panamá y lo seguirá siendo. La soberanía e independencia de nuestro país no son negociables.
So, of course, Trump has to try and save face by being a tough guy. And much to the embarrassment of most of America, Trump goes out and posts these 2 messages on social media. We'll see about that, followed by the photoshopped photo with the American flag in the Panama Canal and typing, the U.S. Canal. And yes, it's embarrassing for all of us that he is now cyberbullying. Apparently, Melania has not been informed. But the worst part about Trump trying to rally his base over the Panama Canal is that, not surprisingly, the real reasons behind his actions are strictly personal. Guess who is wanted for tax evasion in Panama? You guessed it, Trump. And the tax payments are so huge that armed government agents evicted the Trump organization from its luxury hotel in Panama. And to put icing on the cake, this is what happened to the hotel entrance. But this is what's so dangerous about Trump. It's nothing more than Trump breaking the law again, only this time in another country. And rather than pay up, Trump is threatening their country with taking their main economic asset. And behind that threat is the threat of military invasion. And this is why we must be vigilant against yes men being appointed to cabinet positions, especially Secretary of Defense. People like Pete Hegseth, whose main goal is to let Trump and his administration purge the military and install loyalists. Because then there will be no one left to say, no, we are not going to invade a sovereign nation because you owe them money. Without a complete firewall, Trump is going to absolutely do crazy things like this. And also he can save about $100. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.